Hey guys, how's it going? Michael Troy here. I'm so excited to bring you this comic book today. Frank Miller presents Ronin, Book 2, Number 1 by Frank Miller and Phillip. It is amazing. It is an event book that totally pays off. I cannot wait to share it with you guys. So subscribe to my channel, will ya? Hit like and let's do this. Okay, Frank Miller presents Ronin. I already said that. Book 2, Number 1. Look at this gorgeous cover, Phillip. I don't know. Okay, so Ronin is like one of, Frank Miller's breakout stories. I think published through DC. They retain the publishing rights. Obviously, in their best interest, they just released a new version of Ronin. I cannot believe I'm about to admit this, but I'm honest to a fault. So I don't recall reading the first Ronin. I don't know how it wasn't on my radar or what my Frank Miller, intake was at the time. I think I kind of missed the boat on it. I was like on other Frank Miller tips, but that wasn't one of them. But obviously I'm going to get on it. And there's a chance I did read it and just don't remember. I mean, it was a long time ago. Frank Miller presents Frank Miller, president and editor-in-chief, and Dan DiDio, publisher. So I guess a lot of these are going to be like Frank Miller books. They're doing a Sin City one. Obviously, the biggest one coming, supposedly, is the Frank Miller Sin City Western that's been teased forever. Frank Miller and Milo Manara are doing a Sin City story. I think the only person to ever do like sequential Sin City art outside of Frank Miller. So that's exciting. I think Dan DiDio has a couple projects. It's kind of like within the Frank Miller universe. I think Emma Kubert is going to be doing some art. So there's some fun, exciting projects coming out of this. If you want some good background on like what exactly the publishing plan and the other books and things like that, Dan Shaheen did a great interview with Dan DiDio. Totally worth watching, talking about this exciting book. I guess it's only in print, so you're not going to see this digitally. And they did they didn't want this to be a gimmick. They wanted to do this because they love making comic books, and so they kind of just came together and did it. One of the crazy things about this book is that, okay, so it's written by Frank Miller, and apparently Dan said in his interview, and I was going to wait to call him out on this, but I'm going to do it right now at the beginning. Apparently, Frank Miller did layouts for this, and layouts that he actually inked that Dan DiDio said he could actually publish. So I almost turned off my phone, threw it out the window, and then opened the window further and jumped out at myself. Because with that in mind, why are you using a different artist? If you have layouts from Frank Miller for this story that are publishable, that's what I want to see. Sorry, I said it. There it is. That said, okay, so the way out of this, obviously, is to publish, once this is collected, you gotta publish all the layouts of Frank. It's a must. Like, you should almost do an alternative version like that. That said, I super love the art by Phillip in here. I think it looks tremendous. It's very, I feel like Phillip definitely had a very manga slant. I feel like I remember his work on, like, Uncanny X-Men back in the early 2000s, perhaps. I don't remember, but he's been around. I always remember him doing like these really great covers and kind of lesser interiors sometimes, but still like an amazing artist, and definitely one who's kind of grown and very much like a lot of texture and detail. And it's funny because Dan DiDio even talks about this in his interview, like working with Frank has taught the artists, they're sort of like Alex Morris, or Miller is like less is more, sort of Alex Toth, sort of paring down, very much what we see in City. Frank Miller's strengths is storytelling, and just like, I read an interview with Frank many years ago where he talked about thinking like he's very musical in his storytelling, and he tells it in beats just like music. And once you know that, you read Frank Miller very differently. It's very musically and musical. And like, that's why I have such an appreciation for his writing, even when it sometimes seems a little sort of out there or sort of just like crazy, because I know that some of his projects, like, like All-Star Batman and Robin and, Holy Terror, are kind of, criticized for sort of, I don't know, like they're sort of, has Frank Miller lost it? And I don't think he's lost it at all. I think it's just one of his, some of his crazier albums, you know what I mean? And here we go with a greatest hit, a remix, a revisit, a something, a sequel, I don't know. And it is truly beautiful. But I'm gagging, dying. I just want my eyes to witness those layouts. But look how gorgeous this is. This is like I said, I feel like Phillip Tannis, like, definitely has, you know, a manga influence, and I can see wanting to lean into it more in this one. And I really appreciate it. And just like, you know, a good song, sometimes you don't know the words right away, but you get into the melody and then a hook comes, and that's kind of like reading a Frank Miller comic book and why it's so good and enjoyable. And it's weird because I really am enjoying like these beautiful lines, all this gorgeous hatching and this pen work, and especially like this, you know, use of different screen tones and things like that, which is Hallmark manga, of course. But we're sort of just like on this journey, which I was kind of expecting. I try not to go into any of like projects, especially with an artist like Frank Miller, with any certain kind of expectations, because I feel, especially someone like him, is always trying to re-inspire himself and go in a different direction and do this and do that. So I'm just want to witness like what happened and just sort of be along for the ride and, you know, decide if I want to throw up or go again once I get off the roller coaster, if that makes sense. Look at this gorgeous page here. I love this so much. And once again, gagging, dying to see. Like, don't you just want to see the original layouts for these guys so bad? All right, I'm going to stop dwelling on that and dwell on what we have here, because it truly is beautiful. I just love the language and the pose and the flow of this. It's just like a dream, almost. It has been so good. Frank Miller's Ronin, Book 2. Created, written, and layouts by Frank Miller. Art by Phillip Tan and Daniel Henriquez. I'm wondering if he's probably coming in and adding the screen tones. That's possible. I don't know how they worked. I would like to know. You know, now that I'm doing interviews, I'm coming for you, Dan DiDio, first of all, but of course I would love to get Frank Miller and Phillip Tan. Why I'm Dreaming. Lettered by John Workman. That makes me so happy to see that name. They're one of my all-time favorite letterers ever. I didn't even know if he was still working, so I am like so happy to see his name there. Like, this page is just stunning. And this baby is like creepy, as baby should be. I mean, look at the beautiful detail in this, like the texture and like, and you kind of do, like, I kind of like the decision that this is not a digital comic book, because it's very dependent on the way your eye puts the page together. If any of that comes across in this video, then yay. I don't know, it's so weird. Like, I go back and forth, and there's room for all of it, of course. But I mean, even as an artist myself, you know, there's something very rewarding about doing, you know, something this detailed and this rich with like texture and just like noodling and everything like that. But then there's sort of like a very, very satisfying thing about doing like the very sparse, pared down, like less is more black and white kind of thing. This looks gorgeous. I kind of do want to see this in color, but I really think it looks gorgeous. I think the color could be totally striking. Like if you got somebody like Dave Stewart or me to color it. Just kidding. I mean, I would, right? Maybe I should. I don't know. It seems like kind of crazy out of my wheelhouse. Talk about gorgeous double page spreads. I mean, this is gobsmacking. It is so beautiful. And I'm so glad John Workman's letters are here. Great use. Like, look at that negative space action going on here. And that feels like pure prank. Pure prank. Was that a Freudian slip? I don't know. Was it? Was it a Frankian slip? But that face is freaking gorgeous. This negative space. I mean, like I said, that feels like full-on Frank. What I do appreciate about this, because this is, you know, I mean, Ronin. It's like a manga comic book, right? So I do appreciate the textures and the zipatone and stuff, because I don't know, like, does Frank do that stuff? I mean, he used to, especially working with, like, Klaus Janson or something. See, that's where we could have where we could have went with this, Frank Miller Productions. Take those freaking layouts and have Klaus Janson ink them. Or just show me one of the layouts. Maybe there's one in the back. I don't think there is, but there better be in that treasury size trade paperback that I'm hoping for. Or at least trade paperback. There will be a trade paperback. I mean, they might as well just start printing money. I mean, come on, look at this. This is so beautiful. If you were on the fence about this book and just, like, wanted to check it out, I know you're dying and, like, saying, like, how can I get this now? Because I feel like we were just, like, on this fun car ride journey, whatever. Like, it's a good, like, summer blockbuster. But then, of course, no spoilers aside from whatever is already being spoiled. I mean, these double page spreads are just freaking killing it. This is beautiful. I love that so much. Like, the level of skill and technique going into the shading and just, like, the effectiveness of this whole thing is kind of beautiful. So then you just keep going and just, like, page after stunning page. It's like the rapid fire hits of Frank Miller just punching you in the throat over and over again. And this, I feel like this is like a standout. I feel like I've seen this around a little bit. And I do think, where have I seen it? I feel like I've seen the layout from this page from Frank. Maybe it was part of that Dan DiDio interview video. I don't know. You should check that out, though, by the way. And, yeah, I do. I just want the Frank Miller cut. The Frank Miller cut. There it is, guys. The Frank fucking Miller cut is going to be all this with just his published layouts. Okay, there, I said it. Oh my god, these screens. I love screens so much. I love Civitone. It is like a comic book artist's best friend. I mean, just when you think it can't get more epic, it does. That is so cool. I love that. I mean, and of course, I mean, it's Frank Miller, so he has to call her a whore at some point. I was a little, oh, Frank, but, you know, I mean, he's a demon. They're not nice. I just love this art. It's beautiful. You know, it's funny because if you know, there's so many decriers of comic books and, oh, comic books are terrible and blah, 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 blah. And perhaps I'm one of them. Like, I don't have a lot of faith in modern comic books, but of course I have faith in one written by Frank Miller. And it's amazing, and I'm so glad that he's doing this, and it is so nice to have this in my hands, and it is so nice to share it with you guys. And it is so cool that, thank God, I mean, it got really good at the end. That's what I was saying, like, you sort of just, like, feel like you're on this journey, and you're along for the ride, and you're having a really good time. And then suddenly the car speeds up, and you, like, fly off this chasm, and you're just like, whoa, here I am so here, and I cannot wait to see what's around the next corner. But I'm also slightly terrified. I mean, that is beautiful. Look at that. Gorgeous, gorgeous art. Take a bow, gentlemen. So glad. Thank you, Dan DiDio, for, like, making this happen and being behind this and obviously being smart enough to want to publish Frank Miller. This is a good thing, guys. This feels so good. I'm so happy to see this. What a great way to end. To be continued. Thank you, Jesus. Cannot wait for the next issue. So amazing. Cannot wait to pick up this Ronin trade paperback. I mean, that's kind of the art I'm missing and wanting and loving and needing. Publish those the Frank Miller cut. Demand the Frank Miller cut of Ronin, people. All right. That's my battle cry. FMP. So beautiful. Love that. Great. Iconic. Cool. Anyway, so cool. So happy. Such a great book. Be on the lookout for more from FMP. Thanks for watching, guys. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Hit that like button, and I will bring you more later.